Normally when it comes to the very first game in a fighting game series, it's decent. Not the best one in the series, oh definitely not. But still stands on its own, like Tekken 1, the actual Mortal Kombat 1. But when it comes to Street Fighter's early games, it's pretty much always just Street Fighter 2. For good reason, it's probably one of the best fighting games ever made. But they never talk about the actual first game in the series, Street Fighter. Maybe this game's actually a hidden gem that's surprisingly good. No, it's not. It's not good at all. But hey, let's see if this game's as good or as bad as people describe it to be. So starting with the game's roster. So in Street Fighter 1, there's a total of 12 characters, but only 2 of them are playable and the rest are like the enemy characters. So we have Ryu, Ken, Bald Guy, generic punk character, generic male character, Kung Fu Guy, an actually cool ninja character, England, Old Guy, generic male character 2, guy who looks like he drags people into alleyways at night, and lastly Sagat. Out of these 12 characters, only 7 have actually returned in a future game in the series, and 1 character that got replaced by a different version of them. Now I don't really think any of the characters are actually bad per se, besides like 2 of them. Besides Ryu, Ken, and Sagat, all of them are kind of like C tier characters. But next let's actually try to play the game. So when you actually start the game, you get immediately thrown into your very first match. My very first opponent is the generic blonde guy himself, Joe. There's just nothing else to his character, his name is just Joe. Anyway, so I cannot state this enough in the video how unbelievably broken this game is. But I mean, it's pretty understandable since this was one of the very first fighting games just ever. But good lord, the only way I could ever win half these battles in this game is by just non-stop spamming Hadoukens 24/7. It's more specifically the special moves that are absolutely just broken. Really, the only way to actually be any character in this game is by just spamming Ryu's 3 special moves. But it's not just Ryu, it's pretty much the entire game's roster that's absolutely broken. Besides that, it started out pretty easy, smack him a few times and do a failed hurricane kick. And then in this you can see me desperately trying to shoot a Hadouken, but this game's input system is severely messed up. Or it could be the fact I'm playing this on the 30th anniversary collection, which apparently has had input delay problems, so it could be a mix of them. So anyway, I lost the first round and slowly started to realize how big of a mistake playing this game was in 2024. I gotta check the special moves I can do. And due to it basically being the first of a fighting game, there's very few special moves. Like the standard Hadouken, Shoryuken, and that one flying kick move that I will never ever be able to pronounce in my entire life. So you can see me desperately trying to fight both Joe and the game's clunky controls, and I finally won the match. And I have no idea why, but I could not perform a Hadouken for the life of me, so I had to resort to just spamming Shoryukens and that one spinning kick move. So anyway, when I beat him, he says one specific line that every character says when they get beaten and now haunts every part of my dreams.
Listeners, don't forget there are many gods like you all over the world.
Oh, by the way, I didn't edit that whatsoever. That's just how unbelievably crunchy this game's audio is. And the music just absolutely blasting over it does not help it even in the slightest. Anyway, on to the next opponent, generic male character number 2, Mike. So kind of like the strategy I tried to do with Mike was to just zone him out with Hadoukens, which didn't really work that well because I ended up just doing more damage, just trying to input the input than actually doing the move. But then suddenly this BS happens. Can you see now why I call this game horrendously broken? He only killed me with 2 low hits. This is definitely going to be a very recurring thing, especially with a certain opponent later. Anyway, on to round 2. I'm still trying to stick to my method of running to the wall and trying to fight this game's stupid, finicky input system and shoot a Hadouken. And ended up losing not even 20 seconds in. I also forgot to mention this, but when you lose, you also get another horribly compressed audio that also scares me at night.
You've got a lot to learn before you beat me. Try again, kid.
Just again, real game audio there. I then proceed to lose another round, but then by some miracle, I actually managed to successfully input an actual Hadouken. Then I just finish him off with a jump punch. Then at this point I slowly start to get the hang of it. I quickly run over and get rid of basically all of his health. Then quickly back away, then start getting more and more confident. I hate this game. I then proceeded to lose an entire game 0-2 before I managed to finally win and defeat him. but also rage quitting almost like 30 times. Now at this point we have passed the two very generic and boring characters, Joe and Mike, and we move on to a different character. But then suddenly, without any signs, it randomly switches to a different minigame out of nowhere, where you have to mash the buttons as quickly as possible to get the highest score, just out of nowhere, no warning. I would have probably gotten like a bit higher of a score if I didn't just randomly switch to it, not even a little screen that says like minigame, then just swapping to it. After Mike, we then leave the United States to go to Japan, where we find our very first opponent there. Agent 47, I meet Retsu, who... Man, what the? Moving on to the second opponent in Japan, we got our first actually cool character, Geki. He's also the only character so far with a projectile, just somehow. That wouldn't be that noticeable in any other game, but like in this game... But in this game, with the past 3 characters we fought against was just 2 generic characters who just punched and kicked, and 1 character I beat in legit just like 3 moves. This is much better. He was also one of the more balanced characters in the entire game. It was refreshing to actually have a character with both cool abilities and couldn't kill me in like 2 moves. Especially like one specific character that in the game that I'll talk about later. Anyways, I win the first round and on to the second round. Oh yeah, I should also mention how unbelievably short this game's matches are. They are all around like 100 seconds, so like a minute. That is just ridiculously short for a fighting game. So I only won because I had more health. Then for a second time, the game throws you into another out-of-nowhere mini-game. No warning, no nothing, but this one's at least somewhat more acceptable since it doesn't require like an instant, fast input like the first mini-game. The minigame itself is just like the standard, like destroy objects in blank amount of time. Now onto the very next character, and now my new biggest mortal enemy in existence, Birdie. This stupid British guy is the sole reason why I wasn't even able to beat this game. Just because this guy is so unbelievably broken. And I can't even make like a one and done haha useless character joke because Capcom brought this dude back for multiple games. But they also made him fat, so I guess I can use that. The match begins and we are already up to some bullcrap. Look at the amount of damage this one stupid headbutt move does. This is only the 5th opponent in the entire playthrough. I don't even know when to see how bad the final boss Sagat is. I wouldn't know because I rage quit at this point, but still. This one character genuinely took me around 9 attempts to finally give up, but somehow I actually managed to win a single round. Not even the entire match, a round. I tried to even abuse the 30th Anniversary Collection save and reload feature, and I couldn't even beat that. As much as people make fun of this game, it has to be acknowledged how old and early this game was in the fighting game genre, and was later on actually made into a good fighting game with stuff like Street Fighter 2 and on and on. Anyway, besides this game is trash. The controls are clunky, the inputs don't even work half the time, the game is horribly unbalanced. But it was worth it in the long run just to get one of the best fighting game series of all time. And later on we also got Street Fighter 2, which was better in almost every single way. So that was all. If you liked this video, you should consider liking and subscribing. Goodbye.